Hey, John.
Hey, Veronica.
Welcome to another episode of Box Office Time Machine.
Happy to be here.
I mean, this week we talk about the number one movie at the box office this past weekend. It's called Top Gun Maverick. It's very exciting.
No,
What?
Veronica. It's the same screenwriter and director, but no, we're talking about F1, the new movie.
Hold on. But it's a movie about an old man who kind of comes back to the place where he succeeded and then had trauma in the past to relive his past glories.
Yeah, you're talking about F1.
No. It's the movie where he trains a rookie upstart who is initially hostile to him, but then he learns to learn from him and cooperate.
Okay, I see what you're doing. They have a lot of similar elements, but you're forgetting the one big difference, Veronica.
Uh-huh.
This one sucks.
Vroom, vroom.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Box Office Time
for
Machine.
real.
Yes. The podcast where we talk about the number one movie at the box office, either from a current weekend or a weekend far in the past. And this week, after a big gap, we are talking about F1, which, like we said in the beginning, is from the same team. We have Joseph Kosinski directing, Aaron Kruger screenwriting, the same team that brought us the mega hit Top Gun Maverick, and they have seemed to win again at the box office. But yeah, I didn't like this movie, Veronica.
Wow. I felt about it basically the same way I felt about Top Gun Maverick. They felt so much like the same movie, and my reaction to them was identical, which is a lot of solid action that I really enjoyed, some emotional beats that I appreciated, and some other plot shenanigans that I absolutely detested, even though I knew they were coming from miles away. So,
It is really interesting because I was sitting there, bored out of my mind, trying to think why is this so not working for me when Top Gun Maverick did? And it wasn't nostalgia for the original because did we do an episode on Maverick?
I don't know. I think we did end up talking about it at some point. But you have never seen Top Gun.
Maybe in our top 10. No, I have seen Top Gun and I did not like the original. I
Oh,
liked
okay.
Maverick
That's what it was. Yeah.
way more than the original. So it wasn't like nostalgia. I just liked that movie more. And so I've been trying to collect my thoughts. And this is a movie where I've liked it less and less in the 24 hours since I've seen it. And I think I'm going to collect my dislike for this movie into 3 sections. The first one I'm going to call the cinema of flattery. The second one I'm going to call capitalism. And the third I'm going to call, boy, this script sucks. So I think the first one, it's a good place to start with the first one because it is my major problem with the movie. And it is the thing that is most similar to Top Gun Maverick. Both of these movies are in a subgenre I am calling the cinema of flattery, which is like, I've been thinking about this all night. It is like wish fulfillment. It is in that same area, but it's a little different. wish fulfillment. We have movies where, rom-coms where Prince Charming comes down and sweeps a woman from her everyday life. Superhero movies where Peter Parker, the nerd, suddenly gets powers. And then we have movies like this, which, unlike those, the main character doesn't have to change in any way. This is a movie that I would call old man flattery. I would say my favorite part of F1 was the scene where Brad Pitt stops the movie, looks straight into the camera and says, "Hey there, men over the age of 50. Don't worry. You're cool and sexy, and all younger people are just jealous of you. Vroom, vroom."
Yeah. I mean, that is the thing that annoyed me about this movie, as it has with Top Gun Maverick. I think with Top Gun Maverick, it actually annoyed me slightly more because in the implication in that movie is that Tom Cruise was truly better than everyone else. Whereas like in this movie, at least Brad Pitt's character is not that good. Like he's not bad, but he's like, he never made it as much as he hoped, and like he fucks up a lot even in this movie. So it's never like, oh, Tom Cruise must be the only one to run this mission into mystery country that we don't talk about but is actually Iran. So at least like I appreciated it about this movie, the fact that like Brad Pitt was a bit of a fuck up, and like the movie acknowledged that he was a fuck up. I have a theory as to why those movies are happening though. And the theory is
boomers are facing mortality.
Well, not only that, is that like Hollywood has failed, whether it's through like its own like ineptitude or just like the changing media landscape, to produce movie stars. Our most bankable movie stars are now people in their 60s. If you look at like any chart of the most bankable stars, it's people like Denzel Washington and Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and George Clooney. These are like all people who, if Trump had his way, would have their Social Security taken away from them. Like, it's like so because the most famous people that the majority of the movie going audience would actually go see a movie for are that age, those are the types of stories that you can usually tell with those characters, because the actors themselves have the vanity of like, I don't want to be like the decrepit man who's like is now just sad and broken. That's not a blockbuster movie. And so we end up with these movies where it's like, I'm old and rugged, but yet I still have it going on. And, like the flattery that you describe. But I feel like it almost is a symptom of just like a very broken star system in Hollywood.
I disagree with a few things you said. The first, which I'll return to, is that he doesn't fuck up ever. He has failings that movie are all revealed to be part of his clever old man master plan. But I want to come back to that. I think we've always had movies like this because it's a natural part of the human experience. We are all going to get older and we are all going to die. And there are classic movies that actually, I forget if it was Anthony Mackie or someone gave a speech about how we used to, like you said, we used to have movies that were the passing the torch movies. The Color of Money being a perfect example with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman. Where the star of yesteryear passes the torch to the star of new year. And we've always had movies that are about like, the hero ceding the stage, taking on a mentor role. And the weird fucking thing about these two movies, which everyone pointed out in Top Gun Maverick and is also in this, is that the hero doesn't cede the stage. The old man does not. Those movies should end with the old man, like, usually like finds a way to let the younger man have the time in the spotlight while he gets his own personal win. You know, he gets reunited with his love and he fades off into the background to the next stage of his life. But no, in both of these movies, they come up with a way for the younger man to be sidelined while the old man gets all the glory.
Well, but that is why it's because Hollywood has no confidence in these new stars. And I'm not saying it's the fault of like, you know, Glenn Powell or, you know, what is the name of the guy in this one? Damson Idris.
Yeah.
Like, it's not their fault. I mean, it is objectively true. And I mean, Twisters 2 aside, like, it's kind of like, no, like, these people are not box office magnets. And these are not box office magnets, not necessarily because of anything that they have done badly. It's because the landscape is different. Our stars are different. Our stars are people on our phones. And like, you know, these, and even for those, like, they don't translate into box office success or anything like that. I mean, Mr. Beast had a show on Amazon that was not that like popular, even though the guy has like billions of views on YouTube.
Many people. Why didn't everyone watch? He tortured so many poor people.
No, but I'm saying is that like, it's just the reality of the situation is that like the people who are supposed to be there to watch these new stars are not going to the movie theater. And the people who are there, who are seeing movies, who would want to see movie stars, are coming for Brad Pitt's and Tom Cruise's, or they're not coming for Glenn Powell's. And so it's like, so it's kind of a weird situation where like, I remember when Tom Cruise had that Mission Impossible where Jeremy Renner was basically set up to be the new Ethan Hunt. And then America looked at Jeremy Renner and was like, no thanks. And then they quickly kind of scraped that away and Tom Cruise came back. I mean, that is kind of essentially it, is that like Hollywood, it's sort of like a self-fulfilling kind of circle where Hollywood has no faith in these stars because they don't draw people, but they don't draw people because, like, you know, it's kind of, it's so, I'm not defending these movies, but I'm just saying that is probably like the reason why there are no successions in movies these days, is because like there's a lack of confidence in terms of who like could be the next person to take the mantle, you know?
Well, I mean, you know, we could go on and on about why this is happening, but I think for right now, the conversation of why this sucks in the movies themselves. Here's another big difference between this and Maverick. I liked Maverick. Sonny Hayes fucking sucks. Call me one of Brad Pitt's actual children in real life, because I wanted nothing to do with Brad Pitt's character in this movie. And that's us acknowledging that we know about Brad Pitt's real life and we won't talk about it anymore. But
I mean, I don't know about that. I never liked the Maverick character. I didn't really particularly like or the character that Brad Pitt played. I will say I think Brad Pitt played that character better than Tom Cruise in Maverick. I feel like I was going to say, because to me, Brad Pitt, for the longest time, he has just like one way of delivering lines. It's always like, it's kind of like, you say this. I mean, I can't imitate it, but you know it when you see it. He has like a one way of saying things that, while I think he does have range in other ways, delivering dialogue is usually not one of them. And I feel like in this movie, in that scene that he has with Carrie Condon, that I did not like that subplot at all. But I thought like when he actually
that love story incredibly passionate.
No, I did not buy them having any sort of chemistry, unfortunately. But I did think his actual like speech that when he talks, I found him to be probably the most naturalistic like delivery that Brad Pitt has ever given in a movie, which is kind of weird to say on a movie that's pretty mid, but I think he is better than Tom Cruise at doing that.
I don't think I don't have a problem with this performance here. My problem is with the character and the fact that he is not a character. All he is a number of signposts that are communicating to the audience, hey, old man, you're still cool. Like, when we have I could not believe that we have multiple scenes where they're like, whoa, this high-tech car thing, which is literally just a sport about spending millions and millions, obscene amounts of dollars and driving for billionaires, putting in their tech, that like we're going to literally do scenes where it's like, whoa, you don't need your high-tech exercise. You just need to jog like an old man. And you don't need your cool hand exercises. You just need to bounce a ball. Because that's old man knowledge. I'm like, are we fucking doing this? It's so blatant and it's so obvious. We literally get multiple scenes of him being like, hey man, get off your phone. Fuck you. Fuck you, F1. Fuck you. It's so pathetic. Anyone who that worked for, you're going to die soon. Sorry, I'm telling you right now, F1's lying. You're going to die soon. Also, your generation ruined the world. Fuck you.
Wow, John. Wow. This is just a little movie.
It's okay. We'll move on to the next thing. This is just an advertisement for F1, the sport. First of all, calling it F1, it's like calling a movie NFL. Embarrassing. Then this movie only
John,
exists.
they call it F1 the movie.
Yes, it's F1 the movie because it's literally just a brand.
Though I will say, not only that, but the poster is so confusing because like the way they stylize F1 just makes it seem like it's some sort of like a symbol or like part of the background. And so like it literally looks like Brad Pitt the movie, which is when... This is not even my joke. When we went to see Mission Impossible at IMAX, we saw this like giant poster for F1, but literally you couldn't see F1. So you saw Brad Pitt and then the movie. And so since then we've been referring to it as Brad Pitt, the movie. And that is again, like indicative of the fact that like, there's no one else on that poster. There's like, you know, there's a big cast happening, but it's not about any of them. It's about Brad Pitt, the movie.
That's not fair. What the movie actually is about selling a bunch of brands. First, this movie only exists because Formula One is trying to get an American audience. It is primarily
they already have a massive American audience.
But they're trying to build it up. That's why this movie is all about American Formula One drivers. Then also, this part of this
it's not. One of our drivers is British, actually.
Yeah, but he's the idiot young man. Because this is the reality of Formula One, it is just corporate logos everywhere. And you could say, well, that's just the reality. But even when we're not looking at all the corporate logos, when fucking Brad Pitt just goes back to his hotel, we have to give him the hotel room that just has a window view of the Wynn Casino Resort logo out the window. It's just nonstop. This is...
it's kind of funny because it's like, it's also just Vegas. I feel like anywhere you look, you would see. I mean, yes, obviously that is kind of, I'm not saying F1, the sport is already, as you say, like inherently corporatized and commercialized, where like every basically square inch of car or man is covered in logos. So it's like once you go down, you know, the road of making an F1 movie, that's kind of what you have to do to adhere to the reality of the thing. I mean, I personally don't find F1, the sport, to be that interesting. I used to watch it when I was in high school, and I didn't really find it all that exciting.
But they drive in circles for hours and hours and hours. You don't think that's cool?
I think it's cool to do it. I think like it's very cool and impressive to do it. I almost feel like the movie didn't really give me a good understanding of the strategy. I feel like on like a very like script thing, because I feel like we weren't really. It seemed like they were breaking a lot of rules, but I don't even know what the rules are to begin with. And I don't know how realistic any of the things that they did are. And I don't know how brilliant any of these strategies are. It almost felt like Ted Lasso, another show I didn't really like. There was in the first season, there was a thing where they were trying to like do like a weird defensive thing where they were like dancing or something like that. And I was like, this is so dumb. This is like outside the realm of like what would ever happen on a soccer field. And this kind of, I did not know whether this is like Ted Lasso dancing on the pitch or whether like any of these things were actually like legit strategies that were brilliant, I guess.
I thought it was interesting that in any other sports movie, our main characters in this movie would be the villains. Because they're like, we have a strategy. Let's drive really dangerously and hurt other people's cars. They literally chant combat at one point. And in any other sports movie, you would be like, oh yeah, those are the bad guys.
Well, that's kind of the thing, which is why I'm kind of curious. I almost want to talk to someone who watches F1 because I want to understand like if that is a legit strategy, I feel like we would hear about it all the time. If you could just like slow shit down by crashing into people and like
just
and
waiting
I'm not like
in
saying
the
that
pit.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that F1 doesn't have strategy. Clearly it does. It's just that I don't know that we necessarily got it from this movie. Like, you know
from
what I mean?
I've heard from people, I know a guy who's like an F1 influencer, and
what does that mean?
Yes, I do. And also, I was listening to the Pop Culture Happy Hour. I only got through half of it, the review of it. I didn't get to finish it, but Linda Holmes seemed to see the movie I saw while everyone else is crazy. But one person what is an F1 journalist, and both she and my friend kind of had this same thing where they're like, oh, this people who actually watch F1 are kind of mixed on this because it's kind of ridiculous. And then she was like, oh, this is purely for Americans. The European F1 audience thinks this is stupid. But yeah, I don't think. I will say this. I'm going to give one big credit to the movie. You know, I'm going to get all my positives for this movie out real fast. 1, technically impressive. Great. 2, made me recognize F1 as a team sport, which I liked. 3, Carrie Condon. All right, my positives are done.
I mean, to kind of add to your positives, seeing it on an IMAX was a great experience. Like seeing those scenes when you are, you know, you're kind of basically immersed in the road. It felt at times like Soarin' over California in some way, that ride where you're sort of like going with the car. I wish they did that more because they had all these close-ups on Brad Pitt and I was like, don't show me his face, show me the road. It's so much more exciting to see the road.
I agree. I wish we got that more. At one point we get a split screen and it only stays in it. It only stays in it for 3 seconds. And I'm like, I would love to see kind of a split screen continue throughout a race so we can see kind of both of them and we can see them next to each other. Like, I would have thought that was cool as well. I'll say this. I would rather watch Joseph Kosinski's light cycle races from Tron Legacy any day. Like all the marketing here, they're like Brad Pitt and what's the other guy? Damson Idris both did a lot of their own driving. First, bullshit. No, they didn't. I don't believe it. Second, I don't care. I don't care. No one in Tron Legacy actually did their own light cycle riding because light cycles don't exist. And yet I found those scenes interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it adds that much to know that they were driving necessarily, even if it's true. I read the same thing that it said that they drove their own cars when up to speeds of like 180 kilometers per hour or something like that, or maybe miles per hour.
So did the guy from the first season of The Rehearsal.
Yes. It's just
they're playing the Top Gun Maverick playbook step by step, even when it doesn't matter. Like, let's be done with this. Tom Cruise is moving out of his action era, so let's just be done with this. Everything's real because it's not, and also I don't care. Let's move on to the script is finished era of filmmaking.
Do you mean the script is finished as is they should have finished writing the script before they started the movie? Yes, I do.
All right, so we can move on to now the third part, the script. And I disagree. So in the Pop Culture Happy Hour podcast, Linda Holmes, like multiple people were like, the script is so bad. And I said that in the beginning, but I actually disagree. The script is not bad. The script is accomplishing everything it set out to do. It is just not trying to do anything interesting or difficult in the slightest. It is trying to be as generic and step by step as humanly possible. And as such, it does it.
Would you say that the script was one big formula?
Would I say that, like a racer, it drives straight down the middle of the road?
We shouldn't be doing that. I think you should be adhering to the sides.
Yeah, that one doesn't really make sense. How about this? It just goes around in circles, never deviating from the path.
Yeah. I mean, that's very true, to the point where I was like, I know that this is going to happen, but this is like, there's so many more interesting ways that this could go. I mean, starting with the Carrie Condon thing, I was just like, why could they not even have a thing where they collaborate on a car? Literally, they kind of set it up initially that, like, the thing that she finds refreshing about, is it Chet? What is his name? Brad
Sonny
Pitt's character.
Hayes.
Sonny Hayes. I don't know why I called him Chet. But anyway, it was that, like, he was actually good at describing the issues about the car. And so that's cool. Maybe, like, even, like, show us. The only scene we get is that he comes back to her lab and he like essentially flirts with her. They barely talk about the car, and then the next scene they have like this like wavy side thing or whatever, and it's like, show us what makes a car fast. Show us like, you know, them actually collaborating and gaining respect for each other, you know, like that would be interesting.
The movie is so bad at showing why he is good. There is a scene where they are all in their team. I found it interesting that even in their meetings, they speak in headsets. That's an interesting detail about F1 that I'm like, interesting.
They have like a whole team that's remote. So they're trying to talk to like, they showed them briefly in like a different conference room. So there's like a way bigger, like, like the scope of what an F1 operation
it's a company,
yeah, it's like all of it is more interesting to me than like the will they, won't they, or whatever. You know,
just gotta jog. That's what makes this thing. It's everyone jogging.
I will say, I did find the jogging thing cute.
Is still the fastest jogger.
I mean, I did find the jogging actually kind of cute. I think that is. It comes from, I assume that's like one of his superstitions, to get to know the course you jog it. And I don't know. I found that cute.
If that was it, I would think it was fine. But no, he's jogging on the Las Vegas Strip. And then also it is
because that's where the course is. The course is the Strip.
Is that true?
Yeah, the course is literally on the Strip. Like when they block
I feel like
it
the movie
off.
should have made that clearer. That is interesting. Anyway. The movie, in his meeting scene, we get Pierce doing a bunch of useless platitudes. Hey guys, we all gotta work together, blah, 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 blah. And Brad Pitt's like, those are just platitudes. Here's the real straight talk. And then he says a bunch of stupid platitudes, and there's literally no difference. And then she says, anything else? Drive fast. Ha 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 ha. There's no difference between the things you just said.
No, that's true. I think like his the Pierce character was kind of shortchanged, obviously, as those movies
I thought he was
tend to happen.
The only moment when I was genuinely surprised was I thought he died in that crash, and I was like, "Oh, where's this going now?" But no, he didn't die. He came back.
I mean, it is kind of surprising the level of recovery that you can get in 3 races. It seemed like he severely burned his hands.
The flesh burned off your hands would be a longer injury.
And then, like, when he comes back, his hands look the same.
Yes.
But when he comes back, like, does F1 have, like, secret healing materials that are not available to the general public? What?
He had Luke Skywalker robot hands.
Oh, I don't get that reference. But I just wish that I found it. I wish they gave him more about because I think it is kind of interesting. Like, he has that pressure of being on social media all the time, and how like your livelihood is tied, like, whether you want it or not, to how popular you are in social media, and how you are pushed to do these things like media appearances, going to clubs, doing whatever.
What an interesting reality of the job. Veronica, how do they solve that problem?
They don't. I mean, I guess he fires his
that's just
manager.
Noise, and then he stops talking about it.
Well, that's the thing, is like, I really did not like that they kind of had him, because I think initially the movie kind of had it both ways, where you kind of did see Brad Pitt as a jerk a little bit, and like who does talk in like platitudes like, oh, it's all just noise or whatever. And I thought that like what they should have done is that have him perhaps taken the good stuff from what Brad Pitt might have told him, but like not everything. Him just like repeating, like platitudes that Brad Pitt said a half hour earlier. It's kind of, it doesn't show his own growth. It shows just him kind of like imitating Brad Pitt, which I feel like is not necessarily any better.
This story should be, when you make a story like this, it should be the two people learning from each other. But no, because the old man doesn't have anything to learn because he's perfect. And the younger man just has to become him. But not as good as him because he could never be. I earlier I said the script is, fine on a perfunctory level. One part that is genuinely bad. The first 45 minutes of this movie is just scene after scene of characters telling Brad Pitt's backstory to Brad Pitt. Over and fucking over again. Shea Wiggum tells him his backstory. Then that was Shea Wiggum, right? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, then, he's credited in the opening sequence, and I was like, "Oh, I guess we'll see more of him." It's not a cameo. Get that fucking money,
Shea Wiggum. The moment Tobias Menzies shows up, I'm like, "Well, that's the corporate guy who's going to betray him." Blah blah blah. But Javier Bardem, it's just scene out, and then the TV announcers, and then Kerry Condon. It's just scene after scene of characters being like. Sonny Hayes used to be a great driver, but then he had a tragedy. Then the next scene is, Sonny Hayes was a gambler, but then he blah, blah, blah. When I look at you, Sonny, you know what I see? I see a man who used to be a gambler, blah, blah, blah. If you took all those scenes and just made it one scene, I believe the movie would be 25 minutes shorter.
And yet we didn't get anything. We didn't get anything about Javier Bardem. I still I don't. Do you think Javier Bardem he ended up being a successful Formula One driver? Like to the point where that's how he got rich?
How'd he get his money? I don't know.
Yeah, because I was very confused about his arc because they also keep referencing Monaco, and I don't.
Revenge
That didn't
for
seem to
Monaco.
be. It didn't seem to be the. Is that the race that he got injured? No, that was a different race. I thought. Anyway, I was just like, I wanted more about Javier Bardem. Like, where is he coming from? Why are you so crazy rich? What is your background? Why he doesn't seem to have, if he was a racer, he surely doesn't seem to have opinions about racing or cars. Like, he's just there to be angry at Sonny. But then that's it. Like, he should have opinions if he's a professional racer.
Yeah. You know what I loved? We get all these scenes where characters just describe Brad Pitt's background, but then we also have to see flashbacks with absurd looking deep fake Brad Pitt in a wig, which is hilarious because already, sorry to spoil the news for everyone, but all these vain older actors are getting CG makeup in every scene in every movie. So they're already deep faking his face in every scene of the fucking movie. So he gets like, all older actors now have one wrinkle the same way like characters in old movies would have one teardrop when they cry. But so we already are doing this in every scene. So then when they're like, this is him 20 years ago, it's basically just him with a cheesy wig looking like the fucking Blink-182 First Date music video.
I mean, he actually kind of looked, because I was like, we know what Brad Pitt looked like in 1993. He was in the movie California. We could just like use the way that he looked back then. But for some reason, they chose Brad Pitt from earlier. This is like the way that he looks is actually Brad Pitt from like Johnny Suede, which is, I don't know. It was a choice, I guess. Maybe
I think
he's
it's a
younger
way to make him younger
movie.
now. That 20 years ago, you were basically a child, right, Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Also, 1993 is 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 32 to be exact.
See, we're on the same path. Eventually, we will be completely in denial about the passage of time.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about like seeing like an actor kind of get to that point though. Like I will say I found like the scenes with like, as I said, like the scene where Brad Pitt talks about like getting older and like the missed opportunities. I've actually found that moving. And I think I did find it moving, not because the movie did such a good job, but it's because like I've seen Brad Pitt get older for 32 years. You know, I mean, I probably like in retrospect, I probably came to know who he was later, but still it was like from the 90s you see this man like fight against like the pretty boy archetype, but like, you know, develop this career, and now you kind of see him like in his old age and you're like, oh wow, like I realize about the passage of time not because the script did anything good, but because like Brad Pitt's like just aged and I see the passage of time just like on his face. So, you know, I guess
I'm trying to check. I'm curious about something. Unfortunately, I can't find Sarah Niles' age. Sarah Niles is the actress who plays Pierce's mother. And because I was genuinely curious, who's older, the mother or Brad Pitt's love interest, Carrie Condon?
I mean, Carrie Condon, I looked
is
up.
43,
She's 19.
I think.
Yeah, she was born in 1983. So she would be 42.
42. She looks fantastic. She looks better than me. And I'm
I think
4
Sarah,
years younger.
I would assume Sarah Niles, she might be younger. Oh, she's in the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four. She is actually younger than me. She was born in 1987.
Who?
As I was born in the last days of 86. She is definitely older than me.
Wait,
to
Sarah Niles?
an extent. Yes. So there's that.
You're telling me the actress who plays Pierce's mother is 37? I'm not criticizing it because she looks bad, but like that's insane. How old is he supposed to be?
I think he's a rookie, right?
Wait, you're telling me. Are you sure? Where did you find that information about her age?
This is on Wikipedia, or it led me to Wikipedia. No,
her Wikipedia doesn't have her age.
Okay. But in the Google summary, born 1987, age 38.
We can't trust anything. Okay,
she was born on June 17th, 1987.
That's what Google says, but this could be fucking AI bullshit. We can't trust anything in the world anymore.
So you think she's lying about her age? It's also on IMDb.
Okay, no, I'm looking. No, okay. That's wrong. Like everything, that's wrong. No, I found a profile of her in The Guardian from 3 years ago that describes her as being in her mid-40s. Okay. Congratulations, Google AI. You've done it again.
Okay. Well, I guess. Oh, she was the psychologist from Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
That was around the time I stopped watching that show. Not because of her.
Good for her.
But she was also in Catastrophe.
A teen mother who had her. Yeah. The character, I guess, is a teen mother who had Pierce at age 12. Although I guess Pierce, he's playing younger. But
I think he's a rookie, so I assume he's like supposed to be in his early 20s tops.
This isn't as bad as Hobbs and Shaw when the actress playing The Rock's mother was, I think, younger than him.
That's a very Hobbs and Shawian experience.
But it's like, this kind of just like denial and flattery is just, I just hate it. It's just so dumb. It's so fucking dumb.
It's none of it is new. I don't think this movie, like, as you say, like those trends have been happening for so long.
It is. In Hobbs and Shaw, I can't find his mother, although his brother is played by an actor who's 13 years younger than him. Wow.
Well, there you go. All right, John.
I think it's cool that the day I watched this movie, the Republicans passed a bill that is going to cause death and suffering for the next multiple generations on a scale we can't fathom. And part of the reason it was so easy for them to do it was because 3 Democratic Congresspeople died in office because they refused to accept their age and step down. I think it's cool. Hooray, gerontocracy. Brad Pitt, I think you're only 25.
Yes, Brad Pitt surely is the, what's her face? Oh God, Dianne Feinstein of movies. All right, well, I gotta run, so this has to be a shorter one than usual. So should we grade the movie?
Yeah. Look, it's technically competent. Look, if your dad wants to see it, sure, send him. He'll come home thinking he's still young.
It's so much better than Ford versus Ferrari. I hated that movie so much.
I didn't see that one.
All right. Well, 3, 2, 1. B-. All right. Not that far off. That far off.
All the technical aspects are great, and again, Carrie Condon and Javier Bardem's always fun, but God, Carrie Condon was Oscar nominated for Banshees, right?
Yes.
Like, what else is she doing? The UK is giving her good roles, right? Please.
I think she is a voice of some character in the Avengers.
She's the voice
universe.
of Spider-Man's robot.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think she's in. Is she also in the Fantastic Four? I don't know. Are they all in Fantastic Four?
Who knows? We'll probably have to see it in a few episodes. Oh, right.
Oh,
She
God.
was in Night Swim, the movie about a pool that kills people. I saw Night Swim.
Well, there you go. You saw. Is that your thing for the
No.
movies you've seen
I saw
since
that
we
months
recorded?
ago. I probably talked about it in a different episode. It's you know.
It's called Night Swim.
All right. What did you see? What have you seen?
I saw the Phoenician Scheme. It's been
As
a while
did
since
I.
we did a podcast. I'm a big fan of Wes Anderson, so even if his movies don't land for me, they're still very fun. And I would say this is a movie that didn't land for me as well as his others, mostly because it just felt like it felt very rapid pace, but I feel like it kind of sacrificed any sort of character development. And so it just all kind of felt inconsequential and just like a series of jokes, which is not terrible and amazing to look at as always, but was hoping for more. What did you think about the Phoenician Scheme?
Pretty similar. This is, it has all the surface level delights of a Wes Anderson movie, the fun performances, costumes, production design, all of that. But this is one of the first ones where I just genuinely just didn't care about any of the characters.
Yeah. Also, on a day sometime in the past, and you can maybe guess what day it was, I watched Team America World Police because it felt very appropriate. And it still holds up. It's still really, really, really fun. I think that movie is so silly. And I love it a lot. I watched the Francois Ozon movie 8 Women. Have you seen it?
No.
It's basically sort of a Clue-like whodunit, but it's French, and it's all like the most famous French actresses are in it. There's Catherine Deneuve, Isabelle Huppert, and they're all kind of either women from the same family or the help, and they're trying to figure out who killed the only man, the man of the house. And it's so silly. It turned out to be a musical, which I did not expect. So each woman gets a song in a different style, but the way that they sing and dance is so charmingly amateurish that it's like to watch Catherine Deneuve just go like this is very fun. And yeah, that movie really reminded me of Clue. So if you like Clue, but you want it to be more French, that is the movie for you. And finally, I saw Megan 2.0, which I thought would be the movie that we talk about at the box on our podcast next.
Did you not watch the trailers, Veronica?
To Megan too? Oh, that made it look bad, you mean?
The trailers might as well have just said, "Do not come see this movie" in big letters.
I don't know. I liked it. I might have actually liked it more than I liked the first one. Minorly. I thought like giving Megan the Terminator 2 treatment worked really well. There's a lot of silly jokes. This movie doesn't take itself seriously. I don't take it seriously, and I had a great time. So, check out Megan. Give Blumhouse some money. Why not? They're struggling. Their movies haven't been doing well.
They made Night Swim.
Exactly. Point proven. That was it. John, what have you seen?
All right. So it's been a while. The first in the batch, I saw Frenzy on the big screen. Late period Alfred Hitchcock. Really interesting. I did not realize it's a comedy. It's a full-on comedy. However, it does have an incredibly long, very uncomfortable rape murder scene in it that really kind of tonally throws it off. It is basically as if
they do.
Imagine if you were watching Arsenic and Old Lace, and then suddenly the pinball machine scene from The Accused appears. It's really weird. But outside of that, it's a very strange movie, but very funny. But yeah, I think that scene was not appropriate for the film that surrounded it.
That's fair.
I saw Final Destination's Bloodlines. I had rewatched a few Final Destinations movies, and they are so beholden to their formula. And I do like the series, but I think there is a problem that stems back from when they reshot the entire third act to the first movie. And they made it basically that every movie ends with a joke where, it didn't work, you die anyway. Which is fun for the most part. The ending of the first one, great. The ending to the fifth one, incredible. But it really makes it that the third act, if you don't really care about the main characters, is dreadfully boring. Because it's just them trying to do something that you know won't work. And this one had some of the best comedy in the series, but also some of the best drama. And unfortunately, by the time you get to that third act, not only does the plan you know won't work not even make any sense, all the most fun characters by that point have died. So it does kind of drag in the end. But hey, good opening disaster. Fun. Phoenician Scheme, like I said, I saw 28 years later. Fascinating movie. It is much more so. I feel kind of the way about the people complain about Dune Part 1 or Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, where this really does feel like I can't judge it until I see the next one and hopefully the third one, although this movie is very divisive, so we'll see about that. This movie is so aggressively...
So this is supposed to be like a Part 1?
Yeah, and they've already filmed Part 2. Nia DaCosta directed. It's coming out in January.
Again, advertise it. Like truth in advertising, assholes.
Did. You said the same thing. People said the same thing about this Across the Spider-Verse. It was advertised.
It was not advertised. I've seen ads for it. I've seen ads for 28 years later. There's nothing about it being the first part.
They don't call this one Part 1. That, you know what, that is fair. It isn't part of the title.
There's nothing in their ads that makes it seem like it's a first part.
But every interview, every anything, but that is fair if you're not reading
but
that kind of thing.
Should not be an expectation.
I know. I agree with that. And this movie is so aggressively uncommercial. Anything you think would go in a sequel to that franchise, probably not in this movie. In a way that I really respect. But it feels more like the pilot to a TV show than the first part of a trilogy. And the wild swing they make in the final scene, which is they have just had a devastating third act. And then they have the end of this movie, which is, I won't spoil it, but it's tonally different. And
Is it a musical?
No, it's not a musical. I'll tell you off air because I know you don't want to see the movie.
No.
But no, I like the movie more and more the more I think about it. You compare it to a movie like F1 that is just doing every most obvious choice, and give me weird gonzo 28 years later any day of the week.
That's fair. I did like one of the trailers. I thought was really, really good. I was like, oh, this is a very well done trailer. Good job. I still have no interest in zombies, but good trailer. Kudos.
They're not. First off, they're not zombies. They're infected. But I don't think they're not. They're not that much of the movie.
Well, it's fine. I don't need to see it. All right. Have you seen anything else? Or are we gonna... All right. Well, hopefully next time we'll see you, it will be just in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And not
we're going to get back on
1,000 years.
Back on schedule. There's a lot going on in the world and in our lives.
Yes. There's a lot going on. We might see the new Superman. We might see an old movie.
I'm excited for the new Superman. If that's
cute.
I want to see it. I want to see it and I want to talk about it. I'm excited.
All right. Well, I guess we were doing that.
After this
see you in 2
incredible
weeks.
batch of negativity, and I was pretty negative in the Mission Impossible episode as well. But then again, I may hate it, but I don't think I will.
Yeah,
I've liked
maybe
the
John is
marketing.
aiming for a trifecta.
I've liked the marketing a lot, and I'm not even a big Superman guy, but if you do it well, like I liked the Christopher Reeve movie, even though it's the original, even though it's 3 movies glued together.
Yeah, I never really liked Superman, but I'm curious. I am kind of intrigued by the fact that this Superman seems to be very modern, whereas like Superman feels so old fashioned to me, and all the Fantastic Four stuff is like very like atomic age, like retro 50s marketing.
I'm less
it seems
interested
like
in the Fantastic
but
Four.
it almost feels like I wish Superman had the vibe of a Fantastic Four, where it's like it's set in the past and that time, because I feel like to me Superman feels of that time, and it would be
like
cool
timeless,
to set it.
the kind of anachronistic,
Yeah,
timeless stuff.
he feels like very old timey, old fashioned, good, and it was kind of jarring to see the 2 trailers next to each other, which is how I saw it the most recently. And I was like,
Veronica, he works for a newspaper and they can afford their rent on a big office. So that's pretty old timey.
That's true. Maybe it's a multiverse situation. All right. Well, thank you so much for going on these 1,000 laps with me, John. Vroom, vroom.
Where did you find that background?
Vroom, vroom. I found that background on google.com.
Wow, I realize we're also recording. This whole time, if you have just been listening to the audio version of this episode, Veronica has been in a little race car.
Yeah.
So
Just like Brad Pitt.
So hey, feel free to check out our episodes on YouTube, where they also are, if you want to see such delightful things as Veronica in a race car.
Yeah, and John not putting a background on.
I didn't have time. You put that up and then went, I can only record for 40 minutes.
That's true. It's the real F1 way. This is how we know you're not ready for the pit, John.
All right, let's wrap this. I'm like that woman who drops her thing. We didn't even talk about that character. It doesn't matter. Let's get off this so Veronica can leave and I can tell her how 28 years later ends. Toot toot, vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom, vroom vroom.